and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it is Sunday, and you know what that means. It's time for weekly purchases, that time of the week where we investigate what came through the door via DHL, Amazon, UPS, United States Postal Service, FedEx, and of course, that KG outlaw, Waylon Jennings. It is the weekly purchases, and quite the week this week. One of those weeks that started pretty slow, and then I had to leave town. I was up in beautiful Minnesota this week and found a few treasures along the way. Shout out to Minnesota. Up and down, quick trip up there for me, but I did make a time to walk their Toys R Us at the Mall of America, so I will have an updated video for that. But also in a huge plot twist, they opened up a brand new Toys R Us location in my town. So if you're watching this on Sunday when it drops, go back a couple of days on the YouTube. You can see my first impressions of my new Toys R Us about 10 minutes from my house or so. It's going to be nice to have a Toys R Us in my area once again. Now, I know it's not Toys R Us of yesteryear, and if people do complain about the pricing, but let me tell you a secret here. If you guys don't remember Toys R Us very well, it was always more expensive than anywhere else. Toys R Us and KB were the most expensive places to buy toys, and a lot of people romanticize the Toys R Us experience, rightfully so, but how many times did you go in there to see the same stuff week after week after week? A lot of people all these years later say, oh, Toys R Us, it was so massive and it would have new stuff every single day. That wasn't the case. There was a lot of times they had the same stuff there for years at a time. I'll never forget my local Toys R Us, years after the Classic Superstars line was done, they still had some on the peg. So I love Toys R Us. I would love how it used to be, but it wasn't all glitter and rainbows all the time. And it's definitely not in this day and age. But I'm happy to have another option. And if I go to the mall, at least I got something to kill a few minutes when my wife buys makeup or whatever she's doing. So it's not all bad, and we should celebrate it. Maybe not celebrate with our wallets, which will in turn probably shut it down, but we'll see what ends up happening. But check it out. I will have two different videos of two different Toys R Us's, and we just did the Chicago Toys R Us a couple of weeks ago. So it's all coming up Toys R Us on the YouTube channel as of late. We also did a fun little video this week, my top 5 issues with Mattel WWE Elite line. Maybe controversial, I don't think so, but every single year I do a lot of best of videos, but I have to throw in the worst figures of the year, peg warmers of the year, and a couple of toy lines I really love that we're struggling in, and I did do the Mattel one. I may do AEW this week. We'll see what ends up happening. I did that last year. Very uncertain with AEW this year, though, as we've talked about in the toy news recently, but a lot of best of videos to come as we close out 2025. Already had a few of them on the channel, have a lot more here in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned to the channel as well. This week, I will be at Zach Sabbath. He's coming to town, so always good to see Zach Wild. I'll be going to that concert this week. But also this week, I will have to film toy news and weekly purchases early. I will be out of town, out of pocket, so I will have to film these early. I'm thinking maybe Wednesday is when I'll have to film them. So that being said, I might do a joint video next weekend because I'll only have the news through Wednesday. I'll only have pickups through Wednesday. Unless there's a ton of news or a ton of pickups, probably going to put them together. So that's just a little programming note for you guys and you gals, especially you gals next week. Don't forget the Patreon. Of course, you guys know all about Patreon by now. We do got a giveaway this month. It is the Major Stars Series 1. So check out Patreon for the giveaway. You get early access to everything we do, as well as the podcast. You get the video version of the podcast much earlier than traditional YouTube. You can check all that stuff. And best of all, you support the channel and all the content it does bring. 2 channels with content every single day. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels. You guys know the drill by now. And you also know about the sponsor of the weekly purchases this week. It is jaystoysandgames.com. Use code Kyle. Save yourself 15% on all in-stock items. Got to get a deal out there, and you'll see some of that here in weekly purchases today. But that might be it for housekeeping. I'm looking at my notes here. Nothing else really going on. A little bit of a slow toy news week. A lot of deals going on, as we talked about in the toy news yesterday. A lot more deals to come. So be on the lookout for that. We all got to get a deal. We all got to save whatever money we can. And 'tis the season from all of our favorite toy companies, toy retailers, to get some savings into. So keep your ears and your eyes open for deals that may come. But first, before we get into the weekly purchases and in between the deals talk, we got to get down to it. It's time for the question of the week. All right, Angie, it's time for the question of the week. And if you want to be the question of the week, put it in the comments down below, and you too could be question of the week. Angie, how are you doing this week?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. This is the first time I've seen you in weeks. So I haven't seen you since last Sunday. So it's good to see you again. Well, maybe not. But Angie is here for the question of the week, and we got a long question. Angie's got her reading skills. We're going to put her to test. Sometimes she misses a word or two. Sometimes she struggles, but we'll see if she can get through this one. But Angie, we're under the gun. We got to pick up Elle's friend in like 15 minutes, so we don't got time for the jibber jabber here today. No shenanigans. And we just filmed the podcast about a day ago, so I still got to edit that. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But Angie, you got any big plans this week? Anything?
No.
I'm going to Zach's Sabbath this week.
Just survive the weekend.
Zach's Sabbath this week on Wednesday in my local area. And I got a ticket for $8. $8 a ticket. You can't beat that. I say it all the time. I wait till the last minute to buy tickets anymore. You always get a deal. And Angie, you got to get a deal. And if you can't get a deal, guess what? You're probably going to pay just the price that you would have paid normally. So they didn't sit on your money for a long time. That's where I'm at with the Rush tickets for next summer. If I have to pay the ticket prices, I'll pay them next year, not right now. Not going to let Getty and Alex sit on my money for about a year. I'll get tickets the day of, hopefully cheaper. If not, they didn't have my money. So it's a win-win. So all about going to those concerts and stuff, Angie. But besides that, anything else to talk about?
Nothing.
That's it. Nothing.
Nothing.
Just quiet.
I'm tired.
I heard you were just taking
turtleneck on. It's like 30 degrees here today.
Little flurries today. I heard you were just taking a nap. Is that true?
I tried. Didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't work.
Well, you got a long night. Let me tell you, you're going to have, hopefully those leg muscles work good for you tonight. You got a long night ahead of you.
I'm just going to lay there.
You're just going to lay there. Your mouth better be working, everything, because we got a long night at the mall. I don't know what you're talking about, but we're going to the mall.
Pretend I'm sleeping.
Is that what we do? No? Okay. Okay. Well, on that note, Angie, what are you hoping to eat for dinner tonight?
Soup.
Soup.
I'm gonna get Panera.
70-year-old woman right here. Soup. I'm hoping to get soup and maybe a couple of saltines. Okay.
I don't even like salty.
Well, you like salty things. I know that for sure. But I'm going to plan on, I think I'm going to go to the Cheesecake Factory. I think that's what I'm going to do, just by myself. And
I've earned a piece of cheesecake. I should just get one to go.
Maybe. We'll see. If you play your cards right and you do your things, if you're a good girl tonight.
I'm always a good girl.
We'll see. And you can get a slice of cheesecake. There you go. But no whipped cream. We're watching your calories. That's what we're doing.
Good. I don't like it anyway.
Oh, perfect. You love the cream. What are you talking about? All right, Angie, take it away. It's time for the question of the week. Get your reading glasses on. There you go.
Travis Garland 1771. Hi, Kyle. Question for you. First off, love the channel and the podcast. Do you see yourself at some point in time transitioning from your day job to something inside the industry where your hobbies lie? I know you love your day job and I appreciate the hustle. Hard work builds character, but we all have an expiration date. You are a natural on the podcast and your industry knowledge inside the collectible speaks for itself. Just curious if this is a dream you hope to realize in the future. I've worked hard for 30 years to get where I am, and while I'm tempted to do something else, I really enjoy what I do and would be hesitant to branch off too far from that security we all enjoy. Thanks again, and keep up the great work.
Angie, just a pro reading that long one there. So that's an interesting one. Now, I've had a few things back and forth over the last couple of years, maybe some discussions and maybe some consulting here and there, but that's probably as far as it's going to go, Angie. As much as I would like to work full-time in the toy industry, obviously it's my hobby, obviously it's my passion. And Angie, look at over. She says, I don't want you to lose any of that paycheck. We need that big paycheck you got. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, where I'm at in my life, I wish I could say I'm close to retirement, but technically you got, 23? I got like 20 some years left. Who knows? By the time it's retirement time, they might move it up to like 75. Who knows? But I guess it depends how much you have in the bank and save and all that rigmarole there. But I would love to do that. And it's like the story of my life. A lot of the stuff I'd like to do, I would have done it when I'm younger, but when I didn't have money. Now you're pretty secure. You're pretty much well done. You know, he's talking about 30 years at his job, 30 plus years in my industry. You're kind of at the spot here where it's like, I worked a lot of years to get where I'm at. I'd hate to give that away. But at the same time, you should deal with your passions, Angie, you know, what you're passionate for. And, you know, I love my day job. Maybe it's pretty stressful. It's a pretty stressful day job, and that's the way it goes. But, it's a lot of hustle, and it does build character. There's no doubt about it. But I would like to transition. That would be fun to do. I just don't know if I could ever get the salary. And then in some instances, we've talked about before on the channel, you'd have to move away. And do I want to move away? You know, I'd take a $10,000 pay cut to do something I really, really was passionate about. But on top of that, am I willing to take a $10,000 pay cut, move somewhere else where the cost of living is 4 times the amount I am? Houses are 4 times the amount. That just puts me way too far behind. You know, if we didn't have kids, maybe that would be something to talk about. I was
going to say, if we would have done this 20 years ago and you were pursuing it, we probably wouldn't have had kids and we would have just gone for it and hustled. You know what I mean? Like,
Angie said, no kids for me.
Well, I mean, they're a big commitment. And then once you
get
stuck and they have friends, you can't, like, we can't move. And at this point, when they have all their friends and their security and their family.
They are a commitment, and I would say more of a liability at this point here is what they really are. But I don't know. I would love to do something like that. I just don't think it's ever going to happen in my lifetime. But I would love to slowly retire and do more consulting or something like that. That'd be fun. But at the end of the day, who wants to hear from me? Who wants to hear from me? And the other problem is when you do, let's say I got a job in this industry, well, the YouTube channel most likely would have to go away. I couldn't do it anymore. They'd say, hey, we don't want you promoting the competitor brands, whatever it is, because I don't care what toy company you are. They're all competitors at the end of the day. So then the other thing is, if that becomes your main source of income, that is your job. That's what puts the food on the table, the Cheesecake Factory in my wife's belly. Guess what? It's not a hobby anymore. It's what you depend to live on. So it becomes stressful, and the thing you love so much becomes stressful for you. So that's also something to look at there. So there's a lot of ebbs and flows. It's a very loaded question. At the end of the day, though, show me the money. Somebody want to pay me $1 million a year? I'll do it. I'll do it. But I don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately. So it's a double-edged sword. If I was younger, it would have been something to really get into outside of school. After I got out of college, that would have been fun. That would have been the time to do it. Unfortunately, the time now is not it. But for Angie, if somebody wants Angie to do that job, she is willing. She is willing to do it. She wants to get back in the working world. She wants to be a slave to the grind once again, like a young Sebastian Bach. That's what she wants to be. So if you want to hire her for a toy company or modeling gigs, you need some mom modeling. It can be tasteful if you want it to be as well. Mom modeling. You can do some of that stuff, you know, model with the kids, like the old Sears magazine or something. Who knows? Maybe you could be in the bra ads for those. Who knows? You could do that too if you wanted to. But Angie's open to work. She's open for business all the time. Right, Angie?
Yep.
24/7 open for business. There it is. Save my jokes. But there it is. That's the question of the week. Angie, anything to add to that?
No.
Nothing. She says, get me some cheesecake.
So tired.
So tired. Every single week you say, I'm so tired. You always
make me film this after my busiest day of the week.
Oh, please. Make you. Oh, I got the gun to your head. Okay. All right. Well.
You always have me film.
Whatever. So there it is. That's the question of the week. You want to be the question of the week. Put it in the comments down below. But there it is. A tired Angie. We'll see. But not tired. She's super tired, but she can still go to the mall. She can still go out to eat, go shopping.
I was trying to sleep.
Oh, please. Get out of here. All right. We're out of here. We're going. Angie, we got to go. Or we got to go to the mall. But first,
make sure you don't leave the dog outside tonight, though. He'll probably die.
Oh, save that for the podcast. That's this week's episode of the podcast. Don't bring that up again. But Angie, now it's time for you to skedaddle out of here. It's time to get down to the weekly purchases. All right, let's dive into round 1 of weekly purchases. I believe 2 rounds, possibly 3 this week. So we're going to dive in. We're going to start with some wrestling this week. How about fresh off the truck from Target, John Cena LJN edition. Now, we unboxed the Hulk Hogan one. Check out that review if you missed it. We dived into all the different styles of LJNs, big rubber guys, Latoonie, Jakks class superstars, and so forth. We'll dive into this one a little bit, compare it to a former a big rubber guy inspired figure of John Cena once upon a time, but we did get this through the door. Waiting for Dusty Rhodes, and I think he might be here tonight or tomorrow. We'll see what happens with old Dusty. Also this week, via Zombie Sailor, $20 for this one, but proceeds did go to some pause place. I think it was in Chicago. So it went to a good cause, and we do get the glow-in-the-dark Larry figure. So I'm going to go with the other Larry that we got in the collection here. So Larry rides again. How about the Steiner brothers? They ride again, this time in Ultimate style. Had to get a second set of these. They went down a little bit in price, not very much, but I did pick up a second series. Needed 2 sets of Steiners for my collection. Got the Ultimate Steiners over at ringside with code Kyle to save 10%. Got to get a deal there. But speaking of big rubber guys, how about Nature Boy Ric Flair, 1 of 500 edition big rubber guy? And you can't have Flair without Danhausen. I got the Danhausen 1 of 500. Both dropped at the same time over there on Collect Major, so I did pick up Danhausen. Did pick up Ric Flair. All in on the big rubber guys for the most part. So we got those going on. But we're not done with wrestling. How about a little bit main event? Got the Chase edition Trick Williams. Picked this up over at jaystoysandgames.com, the sponsor of the channel here. Got the Chase edition of Trick. Also got Tonga Loa this week. You know me, I'm a sucker for a guy with an eye patch, so I do get this one here. And suited figure even better as well. Tonga Loa through the door this week. And then one more, because it caught me at a weak moment. I got this Roman Reigns. Not exactly sure why, but I got it. So we got Roman Reigns this week as well. Also came across this one in Target, just chilling on the shelf up there in Minnesota. Swerve Strickland, Target exclusive AEW. So can't wait for the Prince Nana 2-pack. Hopefully that's still on the docket, but I did get Swerve this week. Just one sitting, and it was sitting in the McFarlane section over there at Target. Very, very strange. Did pick that up. Same Target, I also picked this one up. $7.49. I'm a sucker for Underbiker. Picked up a second edition of this one for $7.49. Got to get a deal out there with the Underbiker. Also picked up a second Lola Vice this week in Minnesota. I heard she's kind of hard to get, and I was like, well, I better not wait then, because I wanted to display both heads. And we can all use a little bit more head, am I right, Todd McFarlane? Sometimes too much, if you ask me. It's crazy to say it, but, you know, if you know, you know. But we did get that. Also found these up there in Minnesota. Dark Flash, once again. I said, all right, I'm going to build out the army. So I picked up another one of these. And for the first time, I did find the Red Platinum, the Guardian. So I was happy to get this one picked up this week in Minnesota as well. So there it is, looking around. That's round number 1. Let's move on to round number 2. All right, time for round number 2 of the weekly purchases, the final round this week here. And we're going to start off with a little CD action. You know me, I love a good CD still to this day, especially Motorhead-related ones. And we got the brand new punk tribute to Motorhead. It does have a new Motorhead song on here. Not new, but you know what I mean. A cover version of Neat, Neat, Neat with The Damned. So that is on here. Good friend of the channel, Lars and Rancid are on this. So definitely worth a pickup as they continue to milk the Motorhead catalog for everything it's worth. Is what it is. How about a little bit of 20% off sale? As you guys remember last week, Jay's Toys and Games had a 20th anniversary sale. 20% off everything in the store. I picked up some stuff. Long Gamers Unite, myself included. Picked up Donatello McFarlane Toys edition right there. Also got the Leonardo. Now, I'm not totally sold on these, Todd McFarlane, but 20% off, I said I could jump in on these, and that's exactly what I did. Got Leo, got Donnie. I did not get Shredder. I did not get the Foot Soldier. I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to get the Turtles, and that's it. We'll see if I stick to that rule or not. Also picked up one of the Jasons I'm missing, Friday the 13th, Part 6. I was missing this. If you guys followed along on Kyle Peterson 2.0, over the Halloween season, we did a Halloween unboxing every single day. And the last week of Halloween, we built it up to Jason figures. We unboxed a ton of those on the channel. So check those out and subscribe to Kyle Peterson 2.0 while you're at it. For $10, 20% off, I got the Star Child. I'm a sucker for Kiss Creatures of the Night. That is my favorite Kiss album. It's their most heavy metal album. I've always wanted this line of figures. I've looked at them for like 2 decades, and it took Paul Stanley being at $10 for me to pull the trigger. Now I got to track down Eric Carr, Gene Simmons, and Ace. We'll see. Maybe long game, maybe. But for $10, I said the Star Child can come home. Also picked this one up, long game. Once again, I needed the Ultimate Warrior Minty in my collection. Picked this up over there at Jay's as well. I do double up club on the Ultimate Warrior, as many do know. So I picked up his Royal Rumble version. Also picked up another Grim Viper while I was there. What the heck? Let's build the army. Check out this unboxing. Check out the latest wave of G.I. Joe unboxings on the channel this week. Also picked up It Pennywise, the original edition, the Tim Curry edition, I always call it. Not a huge It fan. I'm through the first episode of that new HBO series. And I don't know. I'm going to see episode number 2 and we'll see where it goes from there. But interesting. Not a huge horror icon for me, but definitely worthwhile. A spot in my collection is one Pennywise. Also diving into a little bit of Night of the Creeps this week. Shout Factory, there's been a lot of rumors they're going out of business or whatever, but they were discounting a lot of stuff. In the Tom Atkins exclusive for $10, I couldn't turn down Tom Atkins, horror icon, if you will, Night of the Creeps edition right here. So for $10, that was definitely worth a pickup. Also this week over there at Jay's Toys and Games, we already unboxed it on the channel. I did get it, the McFarlane Batman 66 Batmobile. You knew I had to have this in my collection. A lot of people a little rough on this one, saying it doesn't have all the bells and whistles it should have. Well, I just have to try to be realistic on this one, is because you got to understand the price point. You got to put your business hat on. Sure, I would love doors that open, trunks that open, lights that flash, sirens. I'd love all that stuff, but it's going to take the price point to another level. So I'm always trying to be realistic with these unboxings and take them for what they are. Sure, I'd love to have more bells and whistles, but is that worth it to get more price point? And I know some people say, well, at this price point, we should get all that. And we got to be honest with ourselves. A little bit more, guys. But we did get that through the door. And then last, but certainly least this week, maybe, I did go to one of my local Rosses. And you guys know, Todd, you know this. I've been talking about it for a long time. I have a new game when I go to Ross or Burlington or TJ Maxx, any of these ones. It's a new game. It gives a little extra fun on the hunt. It's kind of like my toy hunts. You look for Lando. It's something you know that's probably going to be there. It gives you a little bit of extra fun instead of just the disappointment of finding nothing. So now when I go to the Burlingtons, TJ Maxx's, and the Rosses, I say, will there be an alarm on, or how long until the alarm goes off? And the alarms are always going off there. We know it. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's kind of the new game I'm playing at Ross. And usually it's just nothing but heartbreak, but at least I smile because, oh, there's an alarm there, an alarm there. I get a little bit of excitement there. But this week I actually found a few things at a discount that I actually wanted. How about that? I did get a second edition of Dracula, Universal Monsters NECA, black and white edition. Plenty of different looks with these ones. I love the Universal Monsters, and I paid, what was this, like $16.99, about half price on this one. So I was happy to get that. Looking good in the collection. And then I did find this one on my way out the door. It was Skelraw. Now, I've been playing the long game on this one. I wanted to get a second edition so I could do one as Skelraw and then one as Mumra for my collection. Now I can do that. And this one only $14.99. So a little concerning that the Thundercats wave already hitting Ross already. That seems a little quick for me. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where that all dives into. But speaking of diving into or diving out to, that is it. That is the toy news today. Anything that caught your fancy, anything that you picked up out there this week, let me know how your week in weekly purchases went. I'd be loving to hear all about it. Let me know if you found anything at Ross and how many alarms did you hear when you were there. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day with 2 YouTube channels to keep you busy. Check out both YouTube channels, Kyle Peterson and Kyle Peterson 2.0. Make sure you subscribe to both of those. Sir Paul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com. Conveniently enough, the name of my podcast, Kyle Peterson Show, where you can see old Angie for Question of the Week Girl, the mail girl, each and every single week over on the Kyle Peterson Show as we dive into everything and anything over there. Check it out if you have not already, with videos on YouTube and podcast, wherever podcasts are found. And 'tis the season. Check out my book, The Complete Guide to the ECW Original San Francisco Toy Makers and The Complete Guide to the Jakks Class Superstar Series, both available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and I do have a few copies left of the ECW one. If you want one personalized, I'll send it your way. So there it is, another week of weekly purchases. You know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into another work week.
Are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?